And another person who's in the hot seat today is Brendan Boyle. Now, he is the Chief Executive of the Ministry of Social Development, and when I woke up this morning and turned on national radio, I heard about some alleged fraud at MSI, and I thought of you, Brendan, and I wondered if you would come today. But I'm glad that you're here because I found Brendan to be extraordinarily good to work with because he's not afraid. You can talk to him, he'll listen, he doesn't always agree with you. But the thing is, the dialogue is there, and he's a very good problem solver. So Brendan comes to MSI having been Chief Executive and Secretary for Internal Affairs and Secretary of Local Government at the Department of Internal Affairs. So think about the governance review and the integration of 8 councils successfully into one in Auckland. Think about the issues raised by the Canterbury Civil Defence Emergency, and of course prior to that he was Chief Executive of LINZ and he led the Land Online project. So Brendan, thank you for coming. You've got a lot to say that's of relevance. You might want to come here because actually no one's asking questions at the moment. It's quite safe. Thank you.
Kia ora tātou, everyone. Thank you very much, Mai. Thanks for the introduction. So when I was giving some thought about what to talk to you about this afternoon, I thought about that TV science program Mythbusters that many of you will be familiar with. And there's a myth that I wanted to dispel. And the myth is that it's impossible to get time with public sector chief executives. And I know this is not true because I'm a CE and I spend all my day in meetings with people, many of whom are external to the Ministry of Social Development and external to government. So my day is taken up with seeing people. They even chase me along the waterfront when I go for my lunchtime run. And I checked this out with some of my public sector chief executive colleagues, and they agreed it's the same for them, apart from the running bit, I guess. And of course, look, I'm being somewhat kidding here, but it's not impossible to get time with public sector chief executives. But I know it can be difficult, and it can be frustrating. I get dozens of emails a day from organisations and businesses that want to meet. I see only a fraction of them, despite the fact that my day is obviously filled with back-to-back meetings. Days can change at a moment's notice. Meetings scheduled weeks in advance can be changed at a moment's notice. I sit on about 60 different governance steering group committees, many of which I chair. I've got about 10,000 staff, 300 offices. It's like being in charge of a small town. What that really means is that it's a pretty dynamic environment and time management is very important. And in fact, in that sense, there's very few people in my life that get my time with no questions asked. These include my wife and children, my executive manager and my minister, the Honourable Paula Bennett, who would agree that she's not the most important woman in my life. Now, I'm not looking for a sympathy vote here. I just wanted to give some insights into the demands of a senior public servant's time. And I'd like to give you some advice about what might help to turn your approach, your appointment, into an appointment and perhaps even an ongoing relationship. So some things to think about. First of all, do you need to go to the chief executive? Going straight to the top is not always the most effective strategy. It might be far better to build a relationship with someone in the organisation who works around your area of concern. I very much trust and rely upon the recommendations of my staff. Secondly, no matter who you approach, ask yourself this: what's the value in this proposition for the public service? Does it fit with our goals? Do you even know what our goals are? My purpose is to get people into work and support vulnerable children. How can you help with that? There's been occasions when organisations I've met have said to me, "Tell me what your problems are and I'll fix them." And my response is, go away and find out what my problems are and then come back and we can have a discussion. The third thing is, what makes your proposition stand out? A lot of organisations want to see me about things I've seen and heard before. Why would I see you as opposed to someone else? What is different? What is better? What's the value proposition? And why should I trust you? That's important because at the end of the day, it's all about relationships. I don't mean who you know, but I mean who you are, your reputation, your track record. And this is where a lot of organisations get frustrated. They're trying to get a foot in the door, but they have no track record. And I sympathise with that. but it's not my job to justify using public money as a test bed for budding entrepreneurs. Finally, put yourself in my shoes, or those of any senior public servant. What are our concerns and motivations? How do they align with yours? Do you understand the responsibilities and constraints on the public service? Read Mai's book for a start. You also need to understand what it is appropriate to ask officials to do and what is not, even down to understanding probity issues, such as hospitality and influence, and the scrutiny around that if an organisation offers to take me out for lunch. A couple of don'ts. Don't sell. Most people hate to be sold to. Don't ask for an hour. An hour is a hell of a long time in a chief executive's day. So that makes your pitch, if you like, super important, whether it's your initial email, on the phone, or at the meeting. It's that old elevator pitch thing. How quickly can you get your message across? And does your message tell me what I need to know? So look, this, to round off, is my elevator pitch to you. Go to the right person, offer value and solutions, stand out from the crowd, be trusted, know who you are dealing with, align your goals, don't sell, pitch well. Thank you for listening.